Hey folks, today we're setting up a puffer tank for my sister. We've got a lot of products to look at and a really cool tank to set up. Stick around. Hey YouTube, this is pecktec, and my sister asked if I would make her a puffer tank, and I said, well, sure. So I'm on my way to look for some supplies to see if I can fulfill that wish, and we're gonna put it together. We won't be adding the puffer today, we'll do that down the road, but we're gonna put the whole tank together and set it up in our house. So we're doing a Mr. Aqua setup today, and we've got Mr. Aqua aquarium, and we've got one of their LED lights. We've also got this filter, which is an Up Aqua product. This is basically a canister filter that hangs on the back of that. Now we're going to unbox and set these things up over at my sister's house today, but let me just show you what we're working with. Look at this. This is a small, hang on the back, but canister style filter with different trays for media and things like that. So this is going to be really cool to set up, and I can't wait to take a look at that. Also, I'm trying a new substrate, this plant grow bed from a zoo. It's pretty interesting. I've never used this. It's definitely one of the short-term substrates, which is sometimes good to use in these small tanks that you might want to reset every year or so. But this is actually a new product that my local store just got in, and I'm excited to see how it does. Now for the rest of what goes in here, I've got a heater that I was using in the flex that I'll probably put over here. I've got some plants around the house and some driftwood and rocks and that sort of thing. I've got all that. We're going to take it over to my sister's house and set up a dwarf puffer tank. Now in a few weeks after I get back from vacation, and hopefully the tank will be cycled up and we can do kind of a post review and put the fish in there, and we'll get a look at it later on, even though it's not going to be my tank. I'll come back and make sure it's doing okay. And we can add a fish then. So I'm literally doing this Friday night, and the video is going to be out Sunday. That's not enough time for this thing to be really set and ready for a dwarf puffer fish. So hopefully this will cycle up in about a month, and next month we can get maybe a 1 month update on the plant growth. So depending on how quickly this cycles up, we could be doing a dwarf puffer fish video probably next month. I'm super excited to set this up for my sister. Aside from Kerrigan, she'll be the only other relative that I know of that really keeps fish. Now she actually had a figure 8 puffer before, but after it passed away, she decided to kind of quit on the hobby for a little while, and she got rid of her stuff. But we're dragging her back in tooth and nail with this super cool setup that I am so excited to play with. I tell you, the only thing I don't like about this project is like picking out all this stuff made me want it for myself. Alright, so I'm going to pack all this stuff up and head over to my sister's house. I'll see you there. I'm going to take a quick look at all my supplies here on the shelf, and in the first bucket here I've got wood, but I've never used this wood before, so it's probably going to produce a lot of tannins and stuff. I do have this other wood that I've pulled out of dismantled tanks. That's probably what I'm going to use. One great thing about that particular substrate is the bag is great for holding river rocks when you're done. I've also got these plants I've been growing in buckets, as well as some stuff from the 12-gallon that I'm going to take over, and that should give me plenty of stuff to plant. Okay, so we're here at Natalie's house. If you've been watching the show for a while, you've probably met her a couple of times. She was at the Customer Appreciation Day sale, and I did a video called How to Move an Aquarium or something like that, where we brought your old aquarium over here a long time ago, and where you told us that you like puffers.
I do like puffers.
You don't have any fish tanks right now, but you do have some snakes, right?
I do. I have 2 snakes.
What kind of snakes are they?
They are male pastel ball pythons.
Very cool. So, how long have you had those?
2 years.
2 years? Okay, so we've got some weird products that I've never seen before, and I thought it'd be fun if we unboxed them together. This right here is it's sort of like a canister filter that you can put on the back of your aquarium. I can't really make out a name. It's very literal. External filter.
Multifunctional.
Multifunctional 600. So let's break this open and just take a look. And we also have this really unusual substrate for plants. It's got some interesting properties. It does say on here that it lasts from 12 to 18 months. So the setup will actually be kind of temporary. We'll set it up, use it for about a year or so, and then you reset. That's the idea with this sort of thing.
Very cool. Ooh, it's green.
It's kind of big. It might be a little big for this tank, so you might be doing some over-filtration. So this tank here it's a Mr. Aqua. It is a bow front tank, and it has it's about 7.6 gallons, so it's just shy of an 8-gallon tank. It's got this nice LED light that's going to go in here. This is I guess, MA3. Let's take a look at it. It's got a pretty decent looking LED board. And of course it's got probably the biggest power brick I've ever seen for a tiny light. Look at that. Look at the mass of this thing. It's really light. It's not super heavy or anything. But man, it's huge, isn't it?
It is. Half the size of light.
Okay, and this light, it's got a nice aluminum casing, which is great for LEDs because it helps dissipate the heat. Basically, if this chipboard that they're on gets super hot, it'll eventually degrade and the LEDs won't work. It's also got a nice plastic coating, which will be important because this is going to be an open top tank. So that'll keep the moisture from seeping in there and destroying everything. So that's pretty neat. It comes with these little clamps here that attach to the sleds on the side. And what that's going to do is it slides into 2 little grooves on there, and then you just fit it on the side of the aquarium. Like this, and then you just fit it on the side of the aquarium.
Very cool.
Okay, so what we're going to do to get your puffer tank ready is we're going to cycle it up. Okay, now you've had tanks before, so you understand a little bit the principle of cycling a tank. Mm-hmm. Building up the bacteria that you need for the water to be really clean. So I brought a little bit of bacteria for my tanks. I brought in some...
Yay, you brought me bacteria.
Yay! A gift from brother to sister. So I brought you some biological media that we can add to kind of kickstart the process, and also some chemical stuff you can add. So we're going to set it up, and then very soon I'll bring you a guppy or something, and we'll just make sure it gets all the way through the cycle, because dwarf puffers are pretty hardy, but you don't want to cycle a tank with one.
Right.
They're too fragile for that. So. And they tend to be kind of messy eaters. They like real meaty foods and stuff, which can quickly cause a huge mess. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get this tank nice and planted and going, get those plants rolling, and you'll be cycled up in no time.
Awesome.
All right, you ready to go?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Let's go in, but let's take a look inside. Oh, wow. Look how that opens. Just like a canister filter, only just tiny. There's the impeller. Let's look inside here. Pull this out. And just like a canister filter, you've got the segmented. So you got sections here with the biological media. Got 2 of those, it looks like. And on top, there's of course, that part and the mechanical filtration. All right? So you can do double biological, or you can put, you can always put some chemical filtration in here too if you want. So that's pretty neat. They just stack up together in this nice little convenient package. And I think what I'll do...
They look like marshmallows.
Yeah, they do. Well, I've dumped the stuff that came in here into a bag or something and take it home for maybe some future project, and I'm going to switch it with this cycled stuff that I pulled right out of one of my tanks. I had a little bit of ring left over, so I put that stuff in here, the cycled stuff, put some of the stuff that came with it and left it in there. I'm also going to add some Chemi-Pure Green. I don't often use the chemical filtration, but I love to use it in a new tank. And this will help clear the water really quickly and get it to where it looks nice. You'll enjoy looking in there again. So, oh, may not have room. Let me see if I can move some of these little marshmallows over here. Cool. All right, so now we've got a good Kickstarter. And of course, this will go right back in here. And that clips into place, just like a canister filter.
And
We'll take these two pieces, and they fit together already. And they fit together like so. And then you've got this piece here, which actually controls the amount of flow through the surface skimmer here. So you can kind of regulate that. If you don't want the thing to surface skim, you can always either not install this or block it off if it's a temporary thing. And the last component is this pipe, which will connect to the bottom of here. As you can see, it's got some holes right through here, and it's got this little rubber stopper here at the bottom. And that just fits right into here. The rubber stopper keeps it from going any further. And then you slide that part into, that just slides into here like so. And I believe what this will do is float up and down with the depth of your tank. So it'll be interesting to see how this works. Pretty excited.
Yep, self-floating according to water level in aquarium.
All right, there you go. So this will float. So as your water goes down, it'll keep skimming from the surface. How neat. Okay, so you got a little, sort of like a little hook there. Oh wow, that's easy. Okay. These little hooks are adjustable so you can click them to the appropriate width of your aquarium. I think the last piece to assemble is actually this little bumper, which fits in right to the bottom, like so. And that'll keep it from dangling too much. It'll just kind of bump up against the back of the aquarium. So we position this right here at the back corner of the tank and clipping these into place. It's a pretty big filter in comparison to the rest of the tank. Hopefully it won't be too much, but I'm dying to see it in action. It should be pretty cool. Yeah. There we go.
Cool.
We can reposition this slightly because it's on those rails, so you can slide it back and forth. Yeah. So you can get in there, do what you need to do, and then put it down. Very bright for the size light it is. So we're also going to add a simple heater. Just prefers like tropical temperatures, and when I aquascape, I want to know where these things are so I can work around them. Next thing we're going to do is add the substrate. The substrate has some kind of interesting claims on it. I'm not sure what they mean by water change free. It will supposedly take tannins from the water. That's what they're saying here. And it's got a lot of nutrition for plants, but it says long term, but it also says that it lasts for 12 to 18 months. So normally I'd rinse substrate like that, but this says specifically not to. So I'm not going to rinse this. We're just going to be real careful when we fill it up with water. Okay, this substrate looks very much like the 88 aqua soil. and a couple of the other soil-based substrates. I'm going to assume it's going to be like that. So what you'll probably see is a spike in ammonia just right after we set this up. That's going to be normal for this type of substrate, but it grows plants really super well. All right, I didn't bring any of my tools, so what I'm going to do is just use my hand, smooth this back. It says it'll stabilize the pH to a nice 6.5 to 6.8 and kind of keep it there. And a lot of fish, our tap water at our house down the street runs about 7.8. So this will make it a little softer and more appropriate for puffers because they like water about that range. So they can tolerate a wide range, but I think they'll be a little happier that way.
So why are we doing the corner like that?
I'm going to do the corner like that just for aquascaping because I picture something kind of flowing down this way. So we're going to start, I'm going to build this up, and then we'll put driftwood on there, and we can cheat the driftwood a little bit and provide a really deep bed to put plants in on these side parts. This is about 1 inch deep here, which is a little light, but we're going to add some more substrate after we go to plant. And but I built this up just to give kind of a platform for the driftwood and stuff to sit on. So let's look at the driftwood. And so all these pieces of driftwood are actually from old aquariums. This has been underwater for, it's dried out now, but it's been underwater already for a really long time, like more than 12 years.
Wow.
So it was once a much larger piece of driftwood. They slowly degrade over time. This particular type of driftwood is called Malaysian driftwood, and it'll sink without having to be soaking wet. But new ones that are brand new, tend to release a lot of tannins. And you shouldn't have any problem with that. They could turn your water brown, and a lot of people hate that. I don't really have a problem with that. I like it sometimes. But this one's already had all the tannins removed, or most of the tannins removed, because it's, like I said, it's from a very old aquarium that I recently broke down.
And the substrate is supposed to remove tannins.
Yeah, and supposedly the substrate removes tannins too. I don't understand how that's supposed to work. And this is a nice piece too that it was in the same aquarium, and it makes for a nice little cave. So I'm going to set that up. I tend to set my caves where I can still peek in there and look. They feel secure, and we can look and make sure that they're alive. I'm going to set this up a little further back. This is a plant called Dwarf Sagittaria, and it's very much like a grass kind of plant. And you can see it grows by runners, which is it'll send little shoots under the water and propagate itself. So eventually, this will run all over your tank. And then you'll be pulling out and giving it to other people too. Let's stick these around the perimeter of the tank. Now these plants that I'm putting in now, depending on what tank they're in, they're either small, like they are now, or they get really tall and huge. If you were to add CO2 to this aquarium or something like that, these could potentially turn into really huge plants. In moderate light, they stay pretty low. They're kind of like a medium height carpeting plant. But like in my cube, these aren't from my cube, but I've got plants just like it in the cube that has CO2 in it. And they're probably 12, 18 inches tall. You know. And the good news is I have lots of them. Just want to make sure it's got a nice bit of growth right here and a bit of growth right there, and they'll come meet in the middle as the tank starts to really grow in. Okay, so I've put in all the plants that I brought along, and I think it's time to get some water in here. You can do this a bunch of different ways, and I have. A lot of people will just put their hand in and let the water pour onto their hand to break it up, but since I've got this nice little cuppy piece of driftwood, I'm going to see if I can just use that and keep this thing from getting terribly cloudy. We'll see. It's a little splattery, but as long as it splatters onto the glass and not like down onto the dirt, we'll be all right. Alright, this says it's automatic start. We haven't put any water inside. Go ahead and press the button. Let's see. See if it sucks in water. Doesn't sound good so far. Let's give it a second and see what happens. Okay, so this is kind of funny. We actually set this up backwards. It very clearly says in and out, which we didn't catch. But this was completely empty, and even though we put it backwards, this was completely empty, and it did fill itself up with water, so this is a completely automatic system that will fill itself up, even if you attach it backwards. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this off and flip this around the other way and rearrange these a little bit. You can't figure out how to make the...
It's going. It's on its own.
Is it coming
Yeah,
on?
it's coming.
Yeah, so it's got a... What do I call it? Yeah, it's got a surface skimmer right here. That looked like it would just sink before, but it just started floating back up on its own once the pump got going. Once we got the arms in the correct in and out, which it does clearly mark right there. And but we did not fill the canister with water. It just started going up on its own. All right, looks good. I think it's time to put a light on and take one last look at this before we let Natalie go for the night. All right, so it took a little while to get everything set up, but there it is. What do you think?
It's awesome.
I think that this will, when this grows in, it'll be a really nice and densely planted tank that you could probably put a couple of puffers in. The filter's huge, and it took us, that was probably the most confusing part of the whole setup, was like trusting that it works and kind of getting it settled. It would kind of start and stop a little bit, which was really strange. We didn't have to, could have sworn that we would have had to fill it up, you know, to prime it and stuff, but you didn't. You just turned it on. And it seemed like the water flow, you want the water flow to be all the way on plus, because if it doesn't get enough flow, it seemed to kind of turn itself off. But eventually it started running, or kept running. We just kept restarting it and adjusting the knobs, and it started flowing, and it seems to be doing really good right now. All right, so we'll be back in a couple of weeks to add a puffer to this tank. I think we'll probably I'm gonna give her one of my endlers to kind of get it cycled up, and we've got some bacteria in there already. I brought her some liquid bacteria that you can add to kind of get things going. The instructions for the substrate said to let it go at least 12 hours after you first set it up before you add fish. So we'll go a couple of days. I'll bring you an endler, and then when I get back from vacation, we'll come back and do an update on this tank. We'll let it grow out for a month and add some puffers. What do you think?
I like it.
All right. That's all we got for you today, folks. We'll be back next week with more stuff. Until next time, follow your bliss, keep a clean tank, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Yep, we ran out of battery on the other camera, so right there at the end. I got to like follow your, and then the whole thing shut off. So, I like puffers! I like puffers!
I like buffers.
I like puffers. We get you a t-shirt, it's just gonna say that. I like
No, I told somebody that and they started calling me Puffer Girl.
puffer girl. Puff puff! Pass. Nice, densely. We've also got, I'm super excited. We'll kind of get a next month update.